Recently I came across the video titled BTS Paved the Way, Why Is It So Hard to Accept It? And at this point I would just give it a side eye and ignored it for the 100th time I hear it, but one thing different this time is that it isn't just a brainless teen on TikTok and Twitter repeating popular words that they don't understand, but this time it actually is a well-organized speech supported by arguments. And I respect it. A lot of misleading views were commonized in K-pop community, but I think this one is certainly most popular despite being incorrect, and therefore I decided I will go out of my way and make a video about it even if I'm not planning to expand the channel in the future. The referenced video is divided into sections by what are arguments of those who disagree, and while I do agree with many things said in the video, some crucial concepts are oversimplified, other things are left unsaid, and altogether that leads to misunderstanding of how was the way paved for K-pop music in the West. I totally agree some of BTS achievements and their work contributed a lot to raising K-pop popularity in the West, but they definitely did not pave the way. The way for K-pop to the West was an extremely tough one, and BTS and third generation in general, had it so much easier than those before them. Throughout the video, I will be citing various sources to support my arguments. All of them will be linked in the description. So without further ado, let's get on to the video.
Paving the way simply means making it easier for something to happen or someone to do something. Paving the way doesn't mean inventing something. You are not building the road from scratch. You're just paving a road which is very hard to walk through, making it easier for others to walk behind you.
Just to make sure we're all following, the ones who created the way was the first generation, not the second one. This is when Hallyu, Korean wave, started in the music industry, and this is when K-pop became a niche interest in Asian countries, but also this is when the blueprint to US was made with JYP featuring on Billboard magazine, BoA being the first K-pop idol to place an album on the Billboard chart. Yeojung was the first K-pop artist to perform live at Billboard Studio. And in general this was the first time a word K-pop was used by impactful company. They were not successful, but they were the ones who showed the new direction to the rest of the industry.
Only after BTS entered the Billboard charts, when Billboard created charts only for K-pop.
Well, that's a lie. K-pop section on the Billboard was already created back in 2011 due to K-pop rising popularity because of groups like Big Bang, 21, Girls' Generation, and most of all, Wonder Girls. Sylvia Pietralongo, Billboard's director of charts, commented this: "The launch of the Billboard K-pop Hot 100 chart is a milestone event, as it will provide the Korean music market with what we believe is Korea's most accurate and relevant song ranking, and we're excited to be expanding Billboard's globally recognized Hot 100 chart franchise into this country, and look forward to enhancing the K-pop Hot 100 chart in the near future with additional data as well as creating new charts that showcase the breadth of Korean music." It also brought a lot of attention from American musicians and producers back then. In an article by Los Angeles Times Magazine from 2012 called K-pop Enters American Pop Consciousness, August Brown says K-pop has operated outside the American pop limelight. But that's changing. A-list producers like will.i.am, Diplo and Kanye West are lining up to work with South Korean artists like 21, GED and Chop and JYJ.
After BTS won their first American award for top social artist when K-pop acts opened Twitter accounts because BTS were nominated for their Twitter engagement.
Now, this is manipulation. First of all, this one isn't even about paving the way. It is about inspiring people to do something. Opening Twitter account was always an option, and in fact that's what many were doing. Some of K-pop Twitter accounts were opened after BTS won an award, some others before. No need to give BTS another credits for something that they didn't do. In addition to that, the fact that SM accounts were opened that late was mostly because SM is focused on Asia and a lot of their income was made in China. A few months before SM Twitter accounts were opened, China put a ban on the Hallyu. For K-pop that means, no tours, no music videos, no promotions, no advertising in China at all. And to put that into perspective, what if I told you that the best-selling album of 2016 wasn't really Wings by BTS but Exact by EXO? The sales for the Chinese versions of Exact are being calculated separately, but in the end SM made 1/3 of the sales for the exact same songs. Not only that, but EXO member Lay doubled these sales with his solo release. Year earlier, in 2015, SM collected $10 million from China in only one quarter, which was 110% increase compared to previous year. So I can imagine, if that gate was closed, SM had to focus elsewhere and therefore taking measures to make themselves popular in the Western social media like Twitter. Just for your information, the China Hallyu ban was lifted only a year ago because of G-Dragon. So, thank you again Second Generation for paving the way. Also, as far as I know, May is before June.
After BTS debuted in American television when K-pop acts started being invited to American television.
No. Biggest K-pop artists are invited to American television since Second Generation. Signed biggest K-pop acts of Second Generation such as Wonder Girls, Girls' Generation, CL and Big Bang were all on American TV before BTS got there in 2018. Same goes for Third Generation, BTS, Blackpink, NCT, they all got there. And if you're biggest 4th Gen idol, you probably also will. But if you're somewhere in the middle, nothing has changed for you since BTS.
Only after BTS started getting Grammy nominations when K-pop acts started submitting their songs to the Grammys.
Again, that is not paving. That is inspiring people to do something. If we actually had more K-pop Grammy nominations after BTS, then yes, BTS paved the way to the Grammys. But we don't have them, despite the fact that it's been years. Not even a nomination, let alone a Grammy. Paving the way means you make it easier. BTS inspired others here, but they did not make it any easier to be nominated.
Only after BTS's fandom requested to have their albums on stores like Target when K-pop started selling their albums in stores like Target.
Now, I have a problem with this one, because I couldn't find any source that would confirm that Target added BTS albums as per fandom request. What I found is the source that claims that K-pop albums appeared in the stores because of BTS and K-pop popularity in general. Trans World Entertainment announced they will add a K-pop section to its 210 US stores and websites, to sell music and merchandise, and have signed an agreement with South Korean chart company, Hanteo, to report K-pop music sales.
BTS became the biggest group in the world when K-pop groups had the opportunity to sign with American labels.
No, signing with American labels started since BoA and Wonder Girls in 2009 who signed with CAA, that was considered #1 Hollywood entertainment agency at that time.
So what are the arguments against the phrase BTS paved the way? They didn't pave the way because they didn't make it easier for BTS or anyone else in K-pop to enter the Western music market. They actually made it more difficult. Second generation of K-pop didn't pave the way. They actually destroyed the way because no one dared to walk through that road again. K-pop was a growing interest before BTS.
I don't really understand this one. How could second gen destroy the way if K-pop was growing? Each year. Without BTS. If the way to US created by first generation had been destroyed, we would not see K-pop growing. It would have remained an unknown thing that was before Wonder Girls appeared on US TV in 2009. Below you can see the diagram of K-pop popularity on Google in United States since 2004. As you can see, throughout second generation K-pop had biggest growth if we exclude the pandemic that happened in 2020. When you switch to YouTube searches, you'll definitely notice this peak that was Gangnam Style, and you can see this constant growth when BTS wasn't even that famous. If you switch to K-pop popularity on the news, here the thing is a bit different. Aside from some important K-pop moments like Big Bang beating Britney Spears in MTV Awards or Gangnam Style, K-pop started their constant growth in news only since 2013. That is due to Billboard establishing K-pop section in their magazine. K-pop was growing and will be growing, whether BTS is in it or not. The way was not destroyed because K-pop did not fade in popularity. The way was paved, because every year the genre was more and more popular. Growing interest in K-pop makes it easier to promote in the US.
BTS didn't have the platform, but they had the talent, determination, creativity, and real love for music.
No, it was second generation that didn't have a platform. BTS could upload their music on iTunes and other international services since their debut. Second Gen didn't have that. Their fans had to work hard to get their CDs in their country. Second Gen groups were gaining more and more international fans, and Korea suffered from illegal international downloads, losing a lot of money in taxes. And it wasn't until Wonder Girls performed on US national TV, that Google searches in United States on K-pop started growing, and so the amount of illegal downloads. This is from an archived article by CNN label Time. Korea's Grand National Party lawmaker said that even trimming the number of illegal downloads by 10% could generate revenue of over $8 billion US. Can you imagine that? Only on December 2009, K-pop was uploaded on iTunes, which was also covered in Billboard magazine. First 170,000 songs were uploaded. Adding K-pop on iTunes had an immediate effect. Nearly few months after that, Taeyong's album Solar hit number 2 on iTunes R&B sales charts in US and number 1 in Canada, a first, not just for Korean, but for any Asian artist. iTunes began with more than 50 Korean artists in the alternative, hip-hop and electronic genres. Now there are hundreds of Korean artists available in the online music store. Within a few hours of the August 25 iTunes release of Solar International, the album reached number 3 in Japan, number 5 in Canada, number 11 in the US and number 15 in Australia on the R&B/soul album chart. It is easier to grow your fanbase when your fans can stream your music on platforms such as iTunes. In 2014, Spotify also uploaded K-pop on their platform. And as of 2015, Apple Music became the first streaming service with almost full K-pop collection. Coincidentally, that was also the year when BTS charted for the first time on Billboard. Having biggest music streaming services for your use, doesn't that make it easier? BTS didn't have to grow their popularity in entire Asia just to start promotions in the US. In second generation, these were only the best of biggest groups that could promote in the United States. The reason is, K-pop was so unknown that when entering the market, if you were popular in Asia, you could at least count on support from Asian immigrant communities. There is no way, a group from a small company, that wasn't even known in Korea, could just go and grow their US fanbase by performing in front of thousands of people. But BTS could. And just a few months after their performance on KCON, they managed to sell a tour of 80,000 participants in 13 countries. How did that happen? In general, K-pop readership was rising fast since 2009. This is from an archived article by CNN label Time from 2010, ilkpop.com in English language, US-based Korean pop blog that caters to international fans, generates more web traffic than any Korean music portals in South Korea. The blog's monthly readers more than doubled in the past year, from 1 million in 2009 to 2.2 million in 2010. Seeing a huge growth in K-pop popularity, The Guardian journalist commented, Han has seen a consistent growth in its European readership, reflecting K-pop's spread from its homeland. When we first opened our blog, the Europeans made up maybe 1% of the readers, he says. Now it's close to 25%. That spread has been noticed by the big corporations. iTunes started selling K-pop to European audiences early in 2010. And Google is planning to set up a K-pop channel. K-pop readership kept rising to the point when in 2011 Billboard magazine will hire an actual reporter that will inform the public about important events from K-pop world, and in 2013, Billboard will dedicate an entire column in their magazine just for K-pop. And obviously, KCON is one of those events that requires extra coverage. KCON was a huge opportunity given to third generation, as K-pop groups could now grow their US audience right from the debut. Artists of the first KCON, BAP, XOM, New East and VIX, were promoting in US right in their debut era. In 2014, BTS were given an opportunity to perform on the same stage as Girls' Generation and promote their music and performance in front of around 20,000 K-pop enthusiasts. When growing their audience, they didn't have to go through the same unpaved road as Wonder Girls. Wonder Girls had to perform multiple times in front of people who had no idea about K-pop, and neither they were interested in getting into it. For BTS, K-pop enthusiasts and Western media were already in front of them, and all BTS had to do was to deliver a performance that will make at least some of these people interested. And they did. While describing KCON 2014, Billboard mentioned BTS saying they're the newest artist on the bill, but the huge crowd reaction could have made you think otherwise. Few months after receiving good press from Billboard, BTS will sell out a tour. They made no releases after KCON. Angela Killeran, co-project manager of KCON, said in an interview, "A lot of K-pop acts have met with the top US booking agents, but they couldn't afford the cost of giving up tour dates in Asia. But festivals like KCON are a great way for them to meet fans and perform without committing to the infrastructure of a full tour." Now, obviously conflicts with Asian tour dates wasn't really BTS' problem at that time, but it's worth to mention that Big Hit did not have to organize an entire tour for BTS to gain some audience in US, nor did they have to look for media attention, because media were already interested in the event itself.
One of the best things I like about KCON is that you get to meet other K-pop fans. You get to see people who love the same thing as you do.
Kind of experience this amazing event where all these people outside of Korea who love Korean culture are gathered.
And everybody's having fun, just going crazy, even for the artists, our engagements. Like, we could never do that in any other place. We never could get high touches, never get autographs from them, or even just be like 15 feet away from our artists.
You get a lot of opportunities. You get to meet like up close with the celebrities and stuff.
I know it's strange, I'm American, but the fact that Korean culture's gotten this big, I'm kind of proud of that.
There's not any other convention that really showcases all that K-pop has to offer.
Everything is just so big and so like going big.
On in Los Angeles over the weekend, the first ever convention centered on Korean music, fashion and food. And the man who came up with this event, well, he's with me now, Ted Kim, the president and CEO.
On the first ever KCON, Billboard wrote, "The convention has truly proved its ability to pass language barriers and kickstart what may be an annual music tradition." And it did. Moreover, not only KCON spread to other locations such as France, Mexico, Australia, Abu Dhabi, but the attendance almost doubled each year. 10,000 people in 2012, 20,000 in 2013, 42,000 in 2014 and 75,000 in 2015. Nowadays the attendance is over 100,000, but as you can see, it's not because of BTS, it's because of K-pop gaining more fans each year and its overall success. BTS music would have never been noticed if BTS was part of second generation. There were much more talented vocalists than BTS, much more talented rappers, much more talented dancers. People who showed an extreme determination in the industry, like Boa, who dropped out of school to be able to promote K-pop outside of Korea, like G-Dragon, who had to work hours as a backup dancer for his seniors, had to clean room for them, and even was occasionally starved. Idols who showcase their creativity, being the first idols who choreographed their dances, who were the first idol producers and composers, who started a trend of underground rappers becoming idols, who started lightstick trend in K-pop and even designed their own, who became the first idols that received recognition from professional dancers, who started the trend of complex choreographies and even dance practice trend. It's also why second generation is considered the golden age of K-pop. Not only did they pave the way, but also actually shape the genre and shape the industry, which couldn't be really said about BTS, with all respect to their work and achievements. Talent and work of second generation went unnoticed because for most of the time, they were the ones who actually did not have a platform. Their hard work made K-pop appear on all of these platforms, but it was already late for second generation as they left the scene in a matter of 2 to 3 years from then. The worst thing is, Korean government didn't even believe in their success. From 2009 to 2011, governmental support for Hallyu and K-pop did not surpass 5 billion Korean won. For 3 years. But you know much Korean government spent on K-pop in 2012 alone? 257.5 billion won. These people, they had nothing, no support, no knowledge in US market and no way to gain that knowledge other than experiencing it and learning from mistakes, and then showing the way to the industry so that other producers can carefully study it and raise their group's popularity abroad. Since 2012, promoting outside of Korea isn't seen as just your own career development but also promoting Korean culture, and therefore many activities will be supported by the government. Only after second generation sparked interest in K-pop and started bringing money to South Korea when the government decided to invest in K-pop, meaning your own company can focus and put money in other things while still promoting. Second gen groups did not have this opportunity. They walked, so the next generation could run. After K-pop started receiving support from the government, estimated by Billboard, South Korean music industry made around $3.5 billion only for the first 6 months of 2012, when Girls' Generation appeared on David Letterman and Kelly shows. Wonder Girls movie was broadcasted on US TV. Big Bang and G-Dragon were second and third after BoA getting their albums on Billboard 200. This was more than 25% of increase from the previous year. In 2005, at the very beginning of second generation, South Korean music industry was on the 33rd spot on the list of biggest global industries. By the time second generation ended in 2012, it was 11th.
Okay fellas, Korean boy bands have been tearing up the music scene, and there's a lot we can learn from them. Follow my lead.
Fantastic, baby.
Stretch it out.
Fantastic, baby.
Stay on toes, bro. Wear some shoes.
In early 2013, by the time BTS will even debut, Korea will join United Kingdom, United States, and Sweden, as one of only 4 countries in the world to export more music than import. Before BTS will become famous, South Korea will enter the top 10 biggest global music industries in the world. People who says that BTS paved the way, have no idea how hard the way was to begin with. It is easier when you can promote in America right from the debut. It is easier when you can promote on the events that have attention of the biggest music magazine. It's even easier when that magazine has a section dedicated specifically for that genre. It is easier when K-pop has its own platform on the Billboard charts. It is easier when your actions are supported by the government. Finally, it is easier when you debut in one of the world's biggest music industries, as opposed to 33rd on the list. With all of that, how can you say that second gen did not make it easier?
BTS accidentally entered the Western music market because their music and personalities became popular on Twitter and YouTube, a way of promotion that K-pop acts didn't seriously consider before.
So they did have a platform. The fact that BTS became popular using free platforms popular in United States, is exactly what I'm talking about. During second generation, in order to get any popularity in United States, you had to become popular not only in Korea, but in Japan and some other Asian countries. You had to win Asian public, you had to be well respected and awarded artists to gain attention. You couldn't just open a Twitter account or post music video on YouTube and hope for luck. Wonder Girls were the first ones to post music video on YouTube in 2008 and were one of the first ones to open Twitter account, but in order to get any popularity on those platforms they had to be already popular. The quote-unquote Tell Me virus was a 2008 version of Gangnam Style, except it was only popular in Asia. They had to top charts in many Asian countries, sign with American agency, record in Korean, English, and Chinese, promote with Jonas Brothers. So he and Sunmi had to drop out of school to be able to promote, and only then, after releasing song Nobody, they were able to chart on Hot 100. They didn't have iTunes, they didn't have Spotify, K-pop community on YouTube and Twitter was non-existent, there was no American event that would allow them to showcase their music and talent, no American magazine was interested, there was no K-pop column, there was no such chart as K-pop chart on Billboard. All BTS did was releasing an album and using opportunities to promote in United States given by second generation. Yes, they did have it easier. They did because second generation paved the way. And it was also second generation that built K-pop community on these platforms. BTS started uploading their videos on YouTube, into community that generated almost 8 million views in 2013 alone. But did you know that YouTube wasn't even used in K-pop until like 2008, when SM Entertainment started using it for promotions? Not only K-pop was missing on music streaming services, but even videos were unavailable. Second gen had completely closed doors, and we'd never knew how things would go if it wasn't for Wonder Girls. In 2010, YouTube K-pop videos were watched 800 million times, in 2011 to 2.2 billion, and a year since Gangnam Style was released, 7.7 billion times. Only 1 billion came from Gangnam. BTS debuted that year. It was the same year when Girls' Generation won YouTube Music Awards for the Best Music Video, winning over Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, Miley Cyrus and others. So, how was no one considering YouTube as a serious promotional method? Another platform that BTS supposedly didn't have is Twitter. Twitter and social media in general will have their own generations, and growth of K-pop tweets looks pretty much the same as the growth of number of tweets in general. However, to say that Twitter wasn't seriously considered by second generation, is definitely not true. In 2011, when Big Bang were nominated in MTV European Music Awards, VIPs all over the world were trending their hashtags on Twitter, which helped Big Bang win over Sia and represent Asia Pacific region, and in the end, beat Britney Spears and win an award for Best Worldwide Act. Out of 158 million votes received, 58 million votes, or almost 1/3 of the total, went to Big Bang. They were also the most tweeted topic on the AMA's official Twitter tracker and the first K-pop group to win an MTV award outside of Asia. Few days later, To Anyone wins MTV IGY Awards for World's Best New Group. On November 11, YG's representative girl group To Anyone received the honor of the 2011 Best New Band in the World at the MTV IGY Awards. Not only did fans from Korea pitch in to vote, but fans from all over the world made this possible for 21. Most of 21's votes came from America and the Philippines, not Korea. The event itself and the rest of performances that came after the win were all promoted mostly via Twitter. Throughout the years, you could see K-pop popularity on Twitter growing as there were multiple artists getting into Social 50 chart and Psy, who managed to top them. The creator also gives a screen of Social 50 chart when most of the artists at the top are K-pop artists, I suppose as a proof that K-pop is popular on Twitter because of BTS. Which is only partially true. Yes, BTS had big contribution. But never were alone here in that aspect. If we look at the chart of K-pop idols on Social 50 from 2010 to 2016 to third generation groups, VIX and GOT7 were also listed on Social 50 for many weeks with high rank. 2017 had the biggest growth in tweets, and the most tweeted K-pop group that year was EXO. Already in 2018 we've had 3 other K-pop groups aside from BTS in the in-year top Social 50 chart. And it makes no sense to say that BTS paved the way for their Twitter popularity when we can see that EXO and GOT7 were always popular. All EXO needed was to open an account,